everybody. Welcome to another Lead In With Lorne. And I want to talk to you about something I ran into called toxic positivity. And I want to just explain that in a minute, maybe about telling you some personal stories. You know, I'm really clearly, people that know me, on the positive end of the spectrum. There's no doubt about it. I'm happy to live there. But sometimes, as I reflected on reading about this, I remember sitting in rooms and people talking to me about problems, whether it was my coworkers or my children or my grandchildren. And I might say something like that I really well-intended positivity that might be like, oh, you know what, you'll get over it, or it's going to turn out okay, or any number of things that, you know, from my heart was well-intended. And so I'm going to introduce to you some material from a psychotherapist whose name is Whitney Hawkins Goodman, and she's on Instagram at Sit With It. And she points out that well-intended positivity can sometimes actually be toxic. And I want to give you some examples, and maybe you'll go with me on this learning journey that I'm going on. And maybe you get this already, I don't know. But if you say something when someone's really wants to come and talk to you about a difficult situation, you might say something like, oh, you'll get over it. Now, you might mean that in an encouraging kind of way, but it might end up being more actually toxic. Her recommendation is you might want to say something like, first of all, going really empathetically or compassionately, God, this is hard. You've done hard things before, and I believe in you. And, you know, I know it may sound like just semantics or wordsmithing, but really it's more, I think there's really something there. Another one might be, oh, just be positive. I think I've actually heard me make that statement before. And her comment would be, hey, I know there's a lot that could go wrong. I wonder what might go right. And again, you know, you go, well, gee, it's not really the same thing. They're elegantly different. And I mean, the validation is elegantly better and different, I think. Or you might say, oh, good vibes only. And she might say, well, no, you might want to say things like, you know, all good vibes are welcome here, not just good vibes. I mean, I get it. Some days we're just not our best selves, or we don't feel our best selves. And I'll kind of just end with this last one. I don't think I've said this, but I might have, or I might have intimated with my body language or some other ways, oh, stop being so negative. And her comment might be, hey, it's pretty normal to have some negativity in this situation. So, you know, it really, my wife Kathleen shared this with me this morning, I think for very good reason. But it made me think about how I might want to share that with you, that you might want to, you know, maybe you might spark some additional thought or some approach. So we all want to, I think it's important to have a high positive quotient. At the same time, I think we need to listen to ourselves, to others with compassion and care, and to be careful that we don't, well-intended, step over into the toxic side of being positive, and stay on the validating, compassionate, hopeful side. So as always, join us on our social. Subscribe to LorneRubis.com, and you know, we're hoping only to send you things that you really find valuable and useful. And thank you for helping us always kind of explore and find and learn new things that we can share with you. Thanks. Bye for all, and I'll hope to see you next week on Lead In With Lorne. Bye for now.